right now on Fox 5 News at 5.
13 reasons why the popular Netflix show on teen suicide may have triggered a rise in online suicide searches.
Joining us now, psychologist Chloe Carmichael to tell us more about this. This is really worrying for parents of teens because this is an age where they're really vulnerable and susceptible to outside influences.
Exactly. In fact, for teenagers, their executive lobe isn't even fully formed yet, so they're not able like we are to think through and understand consequences of actions, impulse control, and future planning.
All right, so let's talk. I was just disgusted with the idea of this. It's very upsetting. Children, like you said, they don't know how to process this, and yet it looks cool and glamorous. What should parents do? Because it's sort of a difficult line. You don't want to bring it up. You don't want to talk about it, but it exists in their world, so.
Exactly, it does exist now, and with a popular show, people will be talking about it. So I do think that it's okay for parents to find out if their kids have seen it, if they're interested in it, but I would also encourage parents to make sure that they take any of that type of talk seriously. Just like you wouldn't let your child say that they were going to go assault another person and not hold them accountable and say, well, you know what, that's not what we do, or let's get you some help if you're having those types of thoughts. The same thing should absolutely be true for suicide.
You know, it might not even be in a teenager's mind, but some celebrities were speaking out after they watched it. I saw it as well, because they said it was triggering. So you can even plant the idea, and that causes teens to go online and research it, and then the next time they're upset, who knows what may happen.
Of course, it's the power of suggestion.
Right.
And that's why I do think that parents need to set really clear standards about what is and isn't okay. Just like we don't harm other people, we don't harm ourselves.
So, okay, so it has been suggested that the show should be pulled, but let's talk about, which I would love, let's talk about, is it okay to talk about this subject in a show or something that, could it ever be productive?
Right, because their friends are going to be talking about it.
Yeah, it's
right?
so hard. Netflix, I mean, they could watch it on a phone.
Right. Well, I'm certainly not a fan of censorship, and so I would never want to say that a show should be pulled, but I do think, for example, if there were a show called 13 Reasons Why to Commit Violence Against Women, probably certain groups would really be up in arms about it, and so I think we need to think about that when we're promoting a show about teenagers committing suicide.
So you think it's better to preemptively talk about it, say, hey, you know, I know your kids may be talking about it. I got letters from a school my daughter goes to saying preemptively maybe discuss why or decide in your family before your teen finds out from their friends and watches it, right?
Sure, of course. The last thing parents want to do is to be caught flat-footed, and you know, I think it was the most tweeted about show in April of 2017, which is right when we saw a huge spike in online searches about that material. So unfortunately now it is something that parents probably should at least find out if their kids have ever heard of this show and just confirm that their children are not being affected by it in the way that some apparently are.
Are there signs if your child is depressed or, you know, in trouble that parents need to look out for? Because in that drama, the parents had no idea she was even unhappy.
Well, of course, parents should always check in and talk with their kids if the child suddenly becomes withdrawn or has less of a talk about the future in their minds, or changes in sleeping and eating, things like that. It's always good to check in.
Without a doubt. Okay, well, we appreciate you being with us and making us feel a little bit better. And we should tell you that we reached out to Netflix, but they have not given us a response on this particular controversy.
Chloe Carmichael, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.